Hey you loopers, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the KY035 linear hall sensor. Let's take a look right now. Here we have the KY035 linear hall sensor. In my previous video I mentioned the KY003 digital hall sensor, which is over on the right here. These two modules are very similar. One on the left, the KY035, is linear, which gives an analog output. KY003 on the right is digital. That gives a digital. It's an open collector output. They are very, very similar indeed. However, I'm going to point out the differences to you. KY035 has a sensor marked 49E. KY003, a sensor marked 3144. The other difference is that the linear sensor doesn't have the LED and the series resistor, whereas the digital sensor does have the LED and series resistor. Terminals are the same, you can see here. Looking at the terminal connections, pin 1 is minus, which you connect to 0 volts. The center pin is the supply, which you connect to plus 5 volts. And the third pin is the sense output line, which for this sensor is an analog line. And we're going to connect that to an analog input pin on our Arduino Uno. Taking a look at the data sheet, which you can find online yourself, just search for AH49E. This particular one is manufactured by Diodes. This is the important graph that we're looking at, and we can see that the output is approximately 50% with no magnetic field, and then when you apply a magnetic field, depending on the polarity, the output voltage will either fall or rise. This little schematic here shows how we're going to wire everything up. We're going to test it with an Arduino Uno. It's sourcing the current to drive this bar graph display, and we've got some current limit resistors on each LED there. This is the KY035 sensor. Connection is very simple. We've got a 0 volts, a 5 volt line, and an output which goes into the analog input pin A0. Here's a test code we've made, which is in the description below, so you can copy and paste it into your project to get you going quickly to test your own KY035. We set up the bar graph display here, which pins it's connected to. We have a variable for reading the analog value. This setup area here sets up the bar graph display, and it also opens a serial console where we're just sending debugging values. The main loop itself, we read the sensor value, we send that value out to the serial console, we map the value obtained from the sensor, and we normalize that to the 10 digits of the bar graph display, and we then either switch on or switch off the bar graph display accordingly to the value. We loop around that forever. The code is loaded into this Arduino Uno, and we're going to present a magnet to the KY035 sensor, which is located here. As the field value increases, we should see this bar graph display change, increase in field, and we can see the output changes accordingly. If we reverse the field, we should see that that value increases. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you now are ready to use the KY035 linear hall sensor in your own project. You may have heard us mention the KY003, which was the digital sensor. If you're interested in a deeper dive into that sensor, have a look here where you'll find that video that I discuss that particular sensor in greater detail. Thanks very much for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.